Hey everybody. I don't know if it's turned on yet or not. Let me look. It's working on it, I think. Spinning a blue circle. Spinning. Okay, I think we're live. Hey everybody. We're going to do our live stream today in a little bit, a couple minutes. I set it to public. If you're here, send me a comment so I know and can say hi. If you have friends or family that are interested in participating, if you go in the comments and tag them in the comments, they should be able to find me easily since it's set on public. Also, on my timeline, I just posted the 3 flower images. Last class, there was interest expressed in doing flowers today. So I posted 3 images of flowers we can work on today. I don't know if we'll get to 1 of them or 2 of them or all 3 of them. Once people are on, they can vote on which one we should start with. By color, just, vote red, yellow, purple. And so I am gonna hang out and wait until people start in the comments to tell me they're here. And people have been sending me their pictures of their art supplies they're getting at Walmart and on Amazon and things like that. So that's really exciting. And I've noticed some of my friends are sketching online, and that's cool, and posting it on their Facebook page. So if you do one of the art today, maybe send it. You can send it to me in a private message, or you can post it on your own timeline and tag me, or any way you want to do that, or email me. But I would love to see your finished work. So leave a comment if you are watching, and I'll wait till several people are on to start. And there might be quite a few people who are going to watch it later, which is just fine too. So today's is on flowers, and I posted on my timeline. Let me go see about that. Yes. I posted the 3 flowers we're going to choose from today. We could do this red poppy, or we could do this yellow, I don't know what that is, maybe a black-eyed Susan. Or we could do this purple with kind of like an echinacea, I suppose. So you get a new angle today. My husband's so nice to me. He rigged up with these clamps and whatever, so I don't have to twist for so long, and it should be easier for you to see the sketching as I'm doing. So okay, if you are watching and interested in hanging with the class, leave me a comment. I'll wait till several people are on, so that I'm not jumping ahead and starting, but after a bit we'll go ahead and just start, because a lot of people might be watching it later. Facebook does say this to my timeline, and I also post it on YouTube, so if you can't find it on my timeline, you could easily send me a message. I'm telling you this in the link, which you would have found, but you can easily send me a message and I can send you the YouTube link for the video. So let me check the time. All right, we're right at, it's 4:30 Eastern. I'm not sure what time it is where you are. I think that's 9:30 Central Time and 10:30 Eastern and 8:30 in the morning Mountain. Sorry, you Mountain timers. I don't know if anybody's watching from California, but that's 7:30 in the morning. So we're just ending a really, really warm day here. So our spring has been gorgeous, and it's starting to warm up and kind of feel like summer. So, oh, there's Naomi. Hi, Naomi. Hi, Mom. You're doing laundry making. Yay. It's good to see you, Mom. Ish, it's good to see you texting live. Hi, Glenda. Thanks for sending me the picture of your sketch supplies. Those are really nice. I think those will be great to have. So, and let's see, Naomi and the girls are there. Hi, girls. You're all the way in Virginia. So it's been really pretty at camp, girls. The fountain is running, and so all the ferns are growing around it and all the purple flowers. You would really like it. they turn it off in the winter. When you were here in the winter time, they turned it off so the pipes don't freeze. But then the men come around and they turn it back on, and it's really nice to have it on again. So I'm going to show the choices on my timeline. Those of you who do want to sketch today, I just posted 3 photos if you want to see them closer. One is this red poppy, red-ish. I'll do it in a brighter color today. Or this yellow black-eyed Susan. Or I think this is kind of like an, I don't know, echinacea. So in the comments, let's hear your votes. Which one do you want to start with? Red, yellow, or purple? Tally your votes with a supersonic machine. No, not really. Okay, so leave me your votes. All of the pictures are on my timeline, so if you're watching this later, you can just watch for the tips of how to do flowers and the colors and things, but you're welcome to do these. I found these by just Googling simple flower sketch. You could, it's whatever you're interested in. If you want to do a teacup with a succulent, or you know, whatever, or a mason jar of flowers, just do simple jar flowers sketch in the Google thing, and you'll come up with ideas. It's a good way to start. So hi Marilyn. Marilyn votes red. Glenda and Naomi, what do you vote? Red, yellow, purple are the choices. Glenda votes red. All right. Well, it is VE Day. I mean, red poppies are associated with, in England, with Veterans Day. So it's kind of a good day for it. VE Day is a big day in France. They really love it. Our mayor and president here, we're going to do things, but they're doing them alone. So, okay, let's get started. And then people can zoom ahead and watch later. So, I'm going to use my watercolor paper. It is 300 gram weight, and I'm going to use my ink pen. I sketch in ink, as most of you know if you've watched already. Vote for yellow. Okay, we'll do yellow next. We'll get through our red one. It's not a very big sketch, so we should be able to do more than one today. So, okay, we're going to start with our red pop. So hold on, my husband told me I can carefully turn my camera down. And voila. He's right. I don't have to twist. This is awesome. So, here, I'll try and put this here where you can see it. So, I Googled this idea, and I'm going to start with just the sweep of my puppy. I'm going to hold my pen loosely, and I'm not going to go slow and press hard. I'm going to hold my pen loosely, and I'm just going to make a sweeping motion. And then I'm going to go like this and do some like this. And then it's going to look kind of like that. And then I'm going to bring my lines down here to the center. I'm using a bigger pen than I normally do, so you can see it on the video camera, because normally you couldn't. Okay, and then I'm going to come along back here. Let me know in the comments as we're going along if you need me to move anything or anything like that. I'm going to hold loosely again, and I'm just going to make that second layer of flower, and it's going to come like that. And then this one, as you can see, has some little swirly little planty vines off of it. I don't know if that's realistic or not, but what I do know is I like the energy that it gives. It's an interesting painting because I'm holding loosely, and I'm just doing little swirls. And down here, I'm going to do my stem as a curl. And I'm not overly concerned about how it looks, and I'm just going to kind of do some pokies, I guess. I don't know what you would call those. And then over here, I'm going to do a swirly durly. I'm noticing I do have funny names for things. And this leaf, I'm gonna just kind of make it go like that. So that's what we've got so far. The area you're sitting, your paper is darker and hard to see. Thank you for that. How's this? Is that any better, Marilyn? All right, I'm gonna move that so the shadow comes forward. Hopefully that is better. If you're able to type, let me know. So we're about there so far. And as you'll notice, at the base of our flower, we're going to add some black kind of scritchy scratchies. And as we go up, okay, so we're gonna just hold loosely again. It's very random. And we're just gonna go up and, here, let me put my glasses on, I'll be able to see my drawing better. Yeah, we're gonna do some scritchy scratches. And I'm not gonna fill it in solid, but I'm gonna put quite a little bit over it. Okay, how are we doing so far? I'll try and turn this a little bit. Now, on this one, they've got some texturing all the way up like this. I'm holding loosely. If you hold loosely, what you'll find is that your picture will have more energy to it. It won't look slow and tedious like you tried really, really hard. It'll have a nicer energy to it. I think you'll like it. As you go along, I don't know who you've watched sketch, but you know, it's fun to watch people as they are doing their art. In Omaha, I used to go in the old market, and I remember that from all ages, watching that. So we're just going to make some texture lines there. Okay. I think we might even, okay, I'll add a little here, some little texture lines. All right. Can everybody see that so far? Because I can wait. Do you need more time? I can wait, or I can continue, and you can just keep going as we're talking. So we've just kind of got it sketched. Then what I normally do is I add color, and then at the end, I often go over it again with my pen to just darken in some outlines. So I used a pretty dark red when I did this one the first time. Here, let me shine this a little more, light up the whole area. Hopefully that's better. Okay, hold on, let me say something. We need a moment. Yes. Okay, so when I first did this one, I did one of my darker reds. It's kind of a barn red. It's called middle cadmium red in the Faber-Castell pencils, but I like it, but it's not quite as vivid and bright as a real poppy. One of the things I love about poppies is just how bright they are in the sunlight and how the sun kind of shines through them, and they're really lovely. So I'm going to use a little bit, well, that's hard to discern on the camera, but I'm going to use a truer red. I don't even know the name because this one came in a set, but it's more of a red, like a fire engine red. So we're going to see if that makes any difference with lighting that up. And if you just have one green, don't worry about it. Just go with your one green. If you have two shades of green, the two I normally really love are the permanent green olive and the pine green, because it's a regular, this is the olive, it's more of a regular tone, and then the pine green gives a darker tone. And when I'm adding my color, I never color in the whole thing solid. I want to leave a lot of white, and especially with this one, if you look how this one has, you know, darker at the bottom and then blending in areas of shadow and color. let's see, I'll hold it there so that, and I do the same with my green. So let's start with our green because that's super simple. I'm going to take my darkest green and I'm going to go just along the left line. I'm not going to fill in any of the rest of the stem. I'm going to make just my left and then just a smidge of the olive next to it. And that's it. And I might add like a little bit of green here and a little bit here. But a lot of these I'm just going to leave the black ink. Now for my leaf, I think I'm just going to add color like this. I'm going to go over the boundaries a little bit. Just have fun with it. And you don't have to be super, I just do kind of light at first. I'm not pressing hard. The only time I press really hard is if I want really strong color, like a night sky or just something really vivid. Because usually it's better to start light. And then I'm going to take some of these swirlies. I do have that with ink. I'm going to take my pen. I'm going to add some swirlies this way. So I have to go outside the lines a little bit just because I don't like rules. My mom can attest to that. She's watching. Hi, Mama. Bless your heart. You hung in there with me. Okay, and I'm not even, see how I'm not even coloring all that green in. I'm leaving plenty of white. So that I can blend it like I wanted. The finished result on this one was like this. Let me shine that light up so you can see it a little better. That there's some outside the lines. There's a lot of motion and swirl to it. Grandma and I love watercolor. Hi, Savannah. We miss you. Yeah, we hope to see you soon. Okay, so that's what we've done. You can't see very much when you add the color. It comes out when we add the water. So I'm going to take my red, and this is just kind of a bright red, kind of a scarlet red, which is a good color for a poppy. And like with this one, you can see how towards the bottom I've made stronger color and then really light, and then I've added more at the top. I've gone back with my tip and added some. So I'm going to work on doing that too. I'm going to go back and forth down here, and I'm going to start in this area, and I'm squiggling a little bit. I like it to not be super even. Things in nature are some are super symmetrical, and that's great. If you look at a plant, it is very symmetrical. But when it is hanging all different directions, there's a shadow to it, and you get some areas of darker, some of lighter. I posted a picture of my neighbor's poppy the other day, and it was just, the light was really striking it. And so some parts really came through, and some parts were darker with shadow, and it made it really interesting. Okay, so I've got that so far, and let's see. I'm going to turn this again so you can hopefully see. I'm going to put in some where I've had darker up here too. I had some pretty strong color all through here. I'm still not pressing very hard, but I'm adding some color. Along the top is a fun place to do it, to delineate your edges. Along the side like that. I'm going to leave quite a bit of white. And we can go back later. It's never too late. You can add color. So it's very easy to do that. I like to have little areas where there's color. And then very faintly in this part, I'm just going to see how lightly, you could just go like this with it. I'm just holding my pencil very lightly, rubbing over the top, so it's not pressing down very much. If you like really strong color, go for it. Press down, but remember to still leave some little windows open of white so that it gives the sense of light hitting it, so that you don't have it just be all too even. It's a little bit more boring if it's too even. So sometimes if I realize, oh, I've gotten really too even with this, then I add a drop of water to it, and then I take my tissue and just dab a little bit, and it will pull up the color, which I really like. Okay. These are so quick, actually. So technically, here, let me sign my art. Always sign your art with your initials, with your name, however you want to write it. When I was first, usually I do down the corner, but sometimes when I'm doing a flower, I do it like that, so it's kind of part of the art. When I did my friend's illustration for her book she's writing, I kind of hid it in the foliage. I didn't want to make it a predominant part of the art, but I do, it's good. Always sign your work. Our director here says, treat your art with value. And interestingly, he teaches us, like when my student is having trouble with something, they try to hand me the pencil or the pen or the water brush. And my director's very wise. He's an artist and a potter. And he says, never do their art for them. He said, so I draw a sketch on the side and on a piece of scratch paper, and I show them what I mean of maybe you could try this or you could try that. But even when I'm about to touch it and point at something, I say, may I touch your art? Because we want people to value it as their own. Your work is important. So please sign your art. Really do. Initials, any way you want to do it, any little signature choice. So let's hear from you. I have that much colored in, and I am ready to put water on there, but if you need more time, I can wait for that. So yeah, it is wise advice. He's so good. I really admire our director. He's a team member just like us. He doesn't even like to be called our director, but that way, he's not just my colleague, but he's also the wise guy who's been there a long time. And I have learned a lot from him, even in our short time here. He's really, really a great leader. Okay, who feels ready? Who needs more time? Let me know if you want more time. And if you feel ready to add some water. And maybe many of you are going, oh, I'm just going to watch the whole thing and then I'm going to sketch it when I'm done. And that's cool too. But I don't want to race ahead if you need a few moments. So let me know in the comments. In the meantime, I'm going to get my tissue ready. When I am traveling, I take my water brush and a pen and a pack of tissues. And I have my little book. Sometimes I take, if I'm doing art for others, as a gift. Sometimes I'll take a little stack of papers. The paper I get comes in it's an A4 size, which is like the American letter size paper, but it's European standard, so it's slightly different. So it's, like this big, and I cut these into 4s. And it's a nice size. It's slightly bigger than my art book, but not by much. So it's a good way to do it. I just use a paper cutter. So pen, water brush, a packet of tissues, and I usually take along about 12 colors. I've done it on the train or in the long flights or in cafes. It's a great conversation starter. People stop at the cafes and or on a park bench or when we were in Spain on the beach. So, okay, I'm not hearing anything from people, so I'm going to go ahead and add the water. So, the water's in here, and to get it wet, I just squeeze it a little bit and get a drip of water. And I dab, dab, and I see that it is clean. So I can begin. I think I'm going to begin with my green. And I'm just going to, I hold it lightly. Again, I'm not pressing very hard. I'm just running it across. And it'll bring out that green. I like the two-tone because things in nature are never one tone of green. And if you do something, you go, oh my goodness, that is a big blob. It is so dark. So if you do that, I'll show you. Just right away, just pick up your tissue and press, dab, 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 and it will pick up the color. And it's so forgiving. You can start again. So I'm doing that. I'm gonna kind of stay with the motion of my drawing here of how I did the colors slightly outside the lines. I like to have some swirls in it. Watercolor, one of the things I love about watercolor, I have really talented friends who do it with brushes and everything, and I'm not that person yet. I've noticed that requires like gentleness, and I'm not terribly gentle or patient. And so this is a really good way for me. So I'm going to go kind of in the area, but not really worry too much at all. I like the way it kind of bleeds. Okay, so we've done our green so far. And now we're going to move on to the red. And so I'm going to clean out my brush, just drip, drip. If you're outside, you just do it in the grass. If not, you just do it over tissue. And when I'm done, I go like that. Dab, dab, and that shows me color will wipe off if there's some left. And so that shows me that it's all the way clean. Even though you may notice that, see how the tip is dark? They do stay a little bit dark, but it doesn't mean it's transferring paint on there. So holding my brush lightly, I'm going to start, ooh, I like this color better than the other one. It starts bringing it out. And it's really a nice scarlet. My husband makes fun of me. I iron it. I have all these funny color names. You know, he calls things blue or green or red, and I call them, oh, look, it's a barn red, or it's a scarlet, or it's a turquoise. Oh, when we lived in Spain, wow, look at the sea today. It's sapphire and turquoise. And he go, what are you talking about? I go, don't you see the difference? He goes, yeah, I see blue and green. If Carla's watching this, she'll laugh because she does too. Anyway, see how I'm leaving all that white? I'm going to first go over all my darker areas. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to rinse out my brush, and I'm going to add more. And I'm going to add in that secondary color. I'm just going to blend that color. I want this side to be stronger. Okay. But before I do that, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to drip a drip of water. Okay, and see how it, okay, now you can see the tiny, when I dabbed, it left a mark. So now I'm going to get it wet with a drop of water, and I'm just going to start blending in, okay, because I want there to be color all the way, but it's going to pick up a little from where I'm coming from the bottom. And it's going to blend it over, but leave the shading. And if I get too much, and it, like, let's say I get too much. Okay. Let's say, well, here so first I'll talk about adding. So if I want more, like, oh, I want this to be really strong over here, you just take some from your tip. It's like your tiny palette. And you can just add more anywhere you want. It's very convenient. Okay, so I'm gonna make it pretty strong color over here. And let's say that even at the bottom I go, hey, I'm gonna add a darker red. Or another way of doing it, let me show you here. If you have a scrap of paper and you Do I have a black? Well, let me grab a black. I'm going to show you how you can color blend so that that's a gray, that's a black. Okay, so let's say you have a set that is 12. And so you have one shade of red. So over here I can make a palette. I go like that and see how it's pretty strong. And over here, I'm going to make a little black palette. And then I'm going to add a drop of water and add a drop of water. And so this is really going to come out strong here in a minute. It's that bright scarlet red. And now I'm going to blend my black. And it's going to be a stronger. I'm going to clean it out. So let's say I want some red. So I take my red and I take just or let's say I want to make this brick red. I just add some. I go, oh, okay. I'm adding those two together and it's turning more into a brick red. You know, and then I can color it here and see how it looks different from the original red. It's hard to hold up, but this is the original scarlet, and then this is with the black. So you can play with things. I'm going to dab that up so I don't run it everywhere. So you can play with it. If you don't have a darker to add, you can just do that. Hi, Jean. It's good to see you. What is this water brush that you're using? Okay, Erin, this is a water brush. I included a Walmart link on my timeline. They're really neat. Okay, it has a lid, and here is the brush part. And you unscrew it, and this part in here, you fill water from the faucet. And it's super convenient, or if I'm outside, I do it from a water bottle. But you can get them on Amazon, but I found a 3-pack at Walmart for like $8. They were super inexpensive, and it had the fine and the medium and the larger tip. And people have an easier time with it than they do a paintbrush because they have spent their whole life writing with a pen. And so using the watercolor pencils is easier, and using the water brush is easier because our hands have already had decades of training in how to use it. I have tried using like a little paintbrush, and I'm not very delicate or careful, and so the results don't come out very good at all. And that's okay, because this is for me. This style is much better for me. I have friends who are amazingly talented with a set of watercolor paint and paintbrushes, and so that's good for them. But the water brush is super portable. I leave water in it and I put it in my purse with my pen and this and a couple pencils, couple colored pencils that are the watercolor ones, and I can sketch anywhere in a park or cafe. So I really like it for that reason. So okay, so since I am blessed with a darker red, I'm gonna get my brush wet, and I'm gonna take a little bit from the tip here, and I'm gonna add some of that darker in, just to give it some shading. I'm gonna go up here and add some in. Okay. And just along here. All right, so, I should show you the thing I talked about. Okay, so let me just put a huge honking thing of color on here accidentally, okay? Let's say I just go blob, and it's like, oh dear, I have made a giant blob. You just take your Kleenex and go dab, 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 and it's gone. And you can try again, which I like because You don't have to constantly worry about, I have to get it just right, or I've ruined it and it's too late. Then I add more water and just blend back in. It's a good idea to play with color blending on a scrap paper too. If you have just started, it's a really good thing to just try it out. And I'm realizing I forgot to do my second layer here, which is a very pale. I don't know if it'll show up there much at all, but it's the rest of the flower back there. All right, I'm gonna take a little more red here and finish that out. Okay. Yeah, I'm liking it. It's a little, I'm gonna make a little less even with the amount of white space showing so that over here is a darker contrast. And then it gradually gets lighter. Yeah, let's give that a go. Okay. I have a confession. This is the first time I've done flowers. A couple weeks ago when I mentioned flowers and everybody was interested in them, I thought, okay, I'll go learn flowers because I have an idea book for my students and they choose ideas that I've Googled and they're really good at doing flowers. It's just flowers not normally my thing. Okay, so there is today's. And then here's the other one where I used it's hard to see color shades, but this one is brighter because I used a truer red. So, do people need more time on the red one, or we're going to move on to what color did she say? Yellow. I voted for yellow. If you want more time, say so in the comments. If not, we're going to set this back here, and we will keep it going and find the yellow one. So, okay, here's our yellow one, a Black-Eyed Susan. This one's a little more challenging with the overlap with the petals, so that some are behind and some are ahead. And we'll use our same two greens, and I'll put away my reds, and I'm going to get out burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is a great starter. When I started, I had the dark indigo blue, the permanent green olive, the burnt sienna, the middle cadmium red, and this yellow, which is light yellow ochre. What was the other one? Yeah, the indigo isn't here, but those were the 5 colors I had, and you can do a lot of pictures with that because you can color blend and make it any way you like. I've since purchased more, but that's when I lived in Spain. It was outrageously colorful, so I purchased like magenta and bright turquoise and things like that. So I'm going to put away my red. For this one, we're going to have our pine green and our olive green, and we're going to have the burnt sienna and the yellow ochre, and just a kind of, this is a terracotta. It's kind of like the tile roots there. And so I'm going to take our pen. Normally, this is my Pigma Micron pen. Normally, I sketch with an 03. When I'm on live stream, I've found it's better to use an 08, which is really big, so that it will show up on the live stream. So, okay, we're going to start with our circle up here, and we're not going to connect it all the way. These are also on my timeline. I'm going to leave it a little bit open. But so I'm holding loosely, scratchy, scratchy style. I'm not worried about too much because I'm going to add more and it won't matter because I'm going to go over with more texture, and so it's always fine. It's very forgiving. You can just do this and it gives it more texture. If you do one solid line, it's pretty boring. And so it's a good thing. Now we're going to do this first petal that's coming down here. And so I'm going to hold loosely so it doesn't look stiff and forced, like I'm trying too hard. And I'm not even going to necessarily attach it. Then under here, I'm going to come with this one. And then I'm going to come up here and do, I'm trying to leave a little space in between so that they can overlap. And then one up here. And then what do we have here? Okay, this one will come like this. And then I'm going to make a part that tucks underneath like that. So it's the twisted part. And we're going to do that. And I'm going to add one more because I left kind of a gap there. I don't know if that's accurate for Black-Eyed Susans, but I'm not worried about it. Okay, now we're going to add these swirlies. Hopefully you have the one pulled up in front of you, but just little squigglies of little stem thingies, and I like them. They had this when I Googled it, and I like the energy it gives. The art to just have here and there, just some squiggles coming up. And then I'm going to add some lines here, you know, like the stems would have. Oh, you notice here I made a mistake? You can just go over it. It'll just be added to the texture lines. So it won't really matter. Okay, now we're going to come up here. We're going to come down and make ourselves a stem. But first, I think I'm going to add this leaf part because this pen's pretty dark. Last time I did the stem, so if your pen is smaller, you can just make your sweep down for the stem and then go over it with a leaf and it won't show. But since mine's so dark, I'm going to make the leaf first because it is pretty honking dark. Okay, and then I'm going to come down and make my stem kind of scratchy scratchy again. And some little stems, and I'm going to have this come across here and that. And then here they have just kind of some texture lines. I don't know if they really do that, but I like the way it looks. It gives it a nice motion. I like to feel the motion of the plant when I'm with it, because it's not a piece of ceramic or something. It's a living thing. So, okay, so here's how far we are now. And I'm going to leave that. And oh, let me check. Let me check my red. I didn't go back over the ink. Mine shows that I don't have to go over it with the ink because this is a huge pen. But if you use a smaller one, like on your other art, like on this original art that I did, I used a smaller pen. So I did them, laid in the color, and then at the end I went back and did some more, just squishy scratchy outlines just to bring it out again. So we didn't in this one because this is a giant brush or a giant pen, but if yours is missing something, if it feels a little flat, then just quickly, like scritchy scratchy, like if here's your flower, don't go like this. Don't do that. What I mean is just kind of go over it again, like that, lightly. You're holding your pen lightly. You know, it's got energy because of it. It can even be like a second outline. You know, so don't go like this. Like you just kind of going, or as French would say, tack, tack, tack. So that's what I mean about the going over the outline. And we'll see how this one looks when we've added the color. Maybe it will, maybe it'll need a little something too. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to do my two greens again. And I don't color in the entire leaf or the entire stem. On this, I'm going to go on the outside left of the left line with my green. And I think I'll go like this with my green, just on these squiggles. And on that, I'm pressing a little harder too because I want to give it a little bit of definition. Next, I'm taking my olive, and just inside that left line, I'm going to add the green, but I'm leaving plenty of white space. I want to have that beautiful blending that comes from the watercolor. Okay, I'm going to take my burnt sienna and do up here. And I start around the edges. I go darker around the background, around the outer edges. And then I'm still going to leave white here because I want that sense of some areas shadow and light. Otherwise, it just looks like a flat, you know, when I was a child, I just did flat. They're all the same, but it's nice to have it be a little bit different. And it doesn't look like much when you're starting, but like we talk about, you can add way more from the tip. I think I'll add my orange here. This is my terracotta. Just the centers, kind of those lines for the shading. And I'll see how it goes as I'm adding. Might do more. This I do like the outside, and I might do like that, but I'm still leaving substantial white. The thing about watercolor, if you have favorite watercolor artists, you'll notice that the thing that's beautiful about watercolor is the light. It's not as dark as an oil painting. I've seen beautiful oil paintings too, but the sense of dappled light. The French are really famous for that, aren't they? But that sense of dappled light comes from leaving white on your paper. Or if you forget and gets too much, it comes from taking some off of your paper with your Kleenex or tissue or pañuelo if you're in España. Okay, so I'm doing a lot of the outline, but not like to the edges of everything. It doesn't look like much at first. You can see that I've added some color, but it still looks pretty light until you use that great water brush. And then it just comes out. Tomas would say, c'est magique, magique. Let's get our tissue here. I've used up a bunch of them. And we will make a place for that. I think we'll start with our, I don't know what they call the center of that flower. Some biologist would know, botanist. I do not. That circle thingy in the middle of a flower. I'm going to get my brush wet with a few drips. I don't want to go on there with it dry. And I'm going to hold in lightly. I start around the edges. Then it starts to really come out and you can see it. Okay, now if I use that whole thing, it's going to obliterate it. So I'm going to make a little drop and then I'm going to continue going on with these lighter shades. That is pretty strong. It's a good chance to show you the dab stuff. It's pretty powerfully on there. So I think I'll take some dappled light. Dip, 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 dip. Okay. I don't know if you can see that, but it took brown off and left a little more light in there. Hi, Marcy. Okay. So usually after I take some off, I get too much. We have this joke in our household about me and salad dressing because I do things pretty drastically. And so like if I try to put a small amount of salad dressing on, you know, the salad is like swimming in salad dressing. It's a little bit of a Merla moment of my Grandma Williams. But that's okay. That's part of who I am. So I often get too much. And it's okay because you can just take it off. All right. It's a little bit hard to see the nuances here, but you can just play with it until you like it. That's a little hard to see, but play with it, see what you think. So now I dripped my water brush and I dab it off and see that it's clean. So now I'm going to squeeze so the drip is still in there. I'm just kind of filling the brush itself, and I'm holding lightly, and I'm going to go over those oranges, and I'm just going to leave the yellow at first. I might get my pencil, my water brush a little cleaned out before I move on so I don't obliterate all the white that's left in there. I'd rather start light and go back later. It's easier. So, like, I don't know what you guys like to sketch. You know, I'm very linear, so I like to do architecture. I like doors. I like windows. Sometimes I like rooftops. They're a little more challenging. But I'm very linear. A lot of people in my class like to sketch flowers. A lot of people like the bicycle options I have, like a bicycle in a garden or a bicycle by a window. If you're interested in those, let me know in the comments or send me a message later whenever you're seeing this. You know, everybody has their favorite things. It's fun to do mountains sometimes, but there's all kinds of options. And I just Google for ideas, and then I put them into an idea book for the kids. So, okay, so I'm gonna clean out my brush, give another dab so it's fuller, and then I'm gonna go over this some more and do some more blending. And yeah, that really needs more color. So I'm going to take, so it's looking a little pale. See the difference? Well, they're both under the light, but see how this one is stronger shading, and you can see the difference, and this one is still on the pale side. So here's my little portable palette. I just have my water, it's wet, and I'm just filling it. You can even see it on the tip. I'm filling it with yellow. Now here's an important thing. When your pencil is soggy, I don't dry it off because it's going to rub off a lot of color, and I don't unless I need to. If I need to, for some reason, actually put it to the paper, then I have to dry it off. But if you put it to the paper right now, it's soggy. It's just going to smear a big old hunk of maize yellow on there. So anyway, so I just dab it off, and it's wet still, and now it's starting to come out. I really like that color better. I'm going to put stronger color towards the center of my flower. The outer corners of flowers are more pale because they get more sunlight too. They're not shadowed and tucked in. So this neighbor lady of mine, the one who brings me Lily of the Valley, she's so funny. She keeps bringing me plants. The other day, my doorbell rang, and she was there, and she was showing me on her phone this picture of a type of plant. It's kind of like a succulent, but not. I don't know the name of it. Her pronunciation is a little bit challenging for me. Of her voice. And so she had me walk down. She is totally oblivious to lockdown. She just, on the first day of lockdown, she took a bunch of people casseroles. They're all holding a government form out the window, out the door at her. She's waving her hands like, no, I don't need that. She's funny. But it's all right. It's not terrible. So anyway, so she had me walk down to the house, and fortunately the police weren't there because I didn't have my form. And she showed me these huge plants things, and she had taken these out. She had done trimmings out, and she was going to give them to me. And I said, "Man, Rick, she's so nice to me. How come she keeps giving me plants, you know?" And he goes, "Well, you do have like 5 times as many flowers as all the other balconies." And it's because I'm gonna take them to camp this season. For later, we're gonna have a wedding. It got postponed with the virus stuff, but anyway, so it's really nice. I'm having fun getting to know her, and she's giving me new plants. She gave me a new pot, just a white ceramic pot that has the kind you hang from. So I'm gonna figure out a hook situation and um, try some of that. So okay, it's coming together. I'm liking the contrast better. I'm going to add, the orange has kind of disappeared in the extra, so I'm going to add a swoop, and I swoop the direction that my motion of the petal is coming, so it'll show, because it'll be noticeable. Anyway, so if you have interest in future live streams, you can let me know that. And if you would like to learn a certain type of thing, if you want to do a mason jar of flowers, or if you want to do a bicycle, or there's some people do motos like a Vespa, or a mountain scene, or I mean, we could do a barn scene, not a French barn. I could find an American barn, if you like that kind of thing. It's coming together. I'm liking the contrast. See how when I dab, there's color left? Now I'll rinse it out and dab, and it's clean. So it's ready to go. I did this one a little more vivid. But I mean, there's never really any two alike. So this is my original, and this is today's. And when it dries, it'll probably be a little less vivid too. So I feel okay about that. If you get your petals too dark, just take the, like, let's say you look at it and it's dry, and you go, "Oh shoot, I wish I'd left more white." My students do this all the time. They're amazing. You just get your brush wet. Let's see, I'm gonna go back to this. Okay, so this is dry. Let's look at this. It's hard to see. But this black is dry. I'm gonna add a drop of water, and let's kind of spread it around the area I want to bring up. And then I'm gonna dab, and it's really lifting it up. It's hard to see in the light, but you can. So you can play with that. All right, we're ready to do our stem. We're holding loosely, and we just stroke it along. I'm only covering the left side of my stem. I want to leave a lot of that white while I'm doing this color. And then here, I did the forest green. I did the pine green, and I didn't do the olive. Okay, so we're going to add some olive here, and I'm going to do it with the swirling motion of the thing, so that the other one is with the swirly-dirly line of the thing, but this one I'm going to just come this way, and I'm going to come with the motion of my pen strokes, so that it looks like that. And then I'm going to come like this. I'm going to blend in that other green. Let's add some more. Let's add a darker shade of pine green. Pine green's handy. Pine and olive go pretty well together. If you like pastel shades, there's like a juniper green, which is nice. If you want it to feel more pastel, everybody, I like really vivid, strong color. Okay, and here I'm going to intentionally go out of the lines a little bit. I like it to not feel too perfect. I want it to just have some realness to it. Okay, so I'm going to clean out my brush and I'm going to make sure it's wet. And now I'm going to go along a second time over that so that it's taking a tiny bit of that, but leaving the two-toneness of the, let's do color. Okay, so at least, see how the shading shows a little more? If I wanted, I could put water on there and dab up some white sparkles. I'll show you a little something different on this. I don't know how long people have, and if they want to do the purple one, or you can almost watch it later. So let me know. Do you want me to continue and show you the purple one, or do you want to do that? Want me to put it in a separate video? If you're running out of time, obviously you can drop out whenever you're done, and you can skip ahead until you see in your screen the purple one. But the reason I'm talking about that is something on there you see is there's this little sparkly spritzing technique. I'm going to do it on the yellow in case you're running out of time and you want to learn how to do it. But I added it to this one because it's a fun technique. I learned a lot about sketching on YouTube. I just went around and found people whose style I liked. If I didn't like it, I just looked at the next video. So, like with this one, we are gonna, what would be pretty to add? You know, that color would be pretty to add. And let me grab a blue. And we'll add some blue sparkles. One of my favorites, I like a sky blue. And there's kind of a periwinkle. Let's see which. It's crazy when you look at, so today I was up at camp and the air is just sparkling, and it was because it's full of some outrageous type of shiny fly. I don't know, they're big and they reflect, they have like a shiny blue thing, but like this meadow that is coming really up in wildflowers, every this far there was these big flies like this big. They were smacking me in the face and I had to keep my mouth closed. It was really funny. I don't know, it's obviously mating season or something because they were just going bonkers and they were everywhere. But what I notice is when I look at a meadow full of wildflowers, there's movement everywhere and little sparkles in the air everywhere. Even from our balcony here where we live, there's forest a couple blocks away, and I mean the air is just so full of pollen. So you could do one of two things. Like if you want, you can leave your flower picture just like this, just so the emphasis is just on the flower. If you want, you could take a little background like a pale gray or this periwinkle, and you would grab from you wouldn't draw on it, but you would grab some blue from it like this. I do this when I'm doing water or reflection or sky. And you just go along behind it and you add like this, and see how I'm just increasing. If I wanted it to stay really strong, like when I first did it, I could leave it like that. Or I can add to some and leave more white. But you can give the idea of sky behind it a little, not solid blue sky. Have you ever sketched dragonflies and or butterflies along with a flower? I have. Not so many butterflies, but I really love dragonflies. Maybe you want me to throw one in? You want me to throw one in? Let me Google a picture of a dragonfly so I have something in mind. I got a sketch of one. Ooh, those are pretty. Let's do. something like this. Okay, let's add a waterfly, a dragonfly, just for fun. I'll do it to this one because there's a little more room, and then I'll show you the spritzy thing I'm talking about because it adds these nice little sparkles. That's a good idea. So thanks for the comment on that. So let me add a dragonfly. Now they have this, I mean, they're kind of a little bit ugly, but they're kind of amazing too. And they have this part, and then they have this little body like this, and then they just have kind of like this. So when we lived in Spain, we would have our doors open all the time to the terrace, and then the wings are kind of wispy. Remember to hold light. So I don't really have much room for him. Anyway, so when we were in Spain, this one flew in. He was as big. Oh man, his body was like this big around, and he was just enormous. And the coloring was just phenomenal and very fascinating. Struggling to keep this on, but it doesn't matter. This is just for fun. Okay, and so then they would have like a little kind of zigzag through their wings. I make a lot of funny sounds, I think. So it's funny because my children, when my children were born, I said to my husband, isn't that funny? When Michael was growing up, I was Michael's nanny, you know, he said actually and incidentally all the time at age 3, and our kids do too. And he goes, are you kidding? You say those things all the time. And so I find that there's a lot of similarities in the little kids that I had every day as a nanny. Along with that. Okay, so we're gonna just put some squiggle wiggles in there, you know, because who doesn't need squiggle wiggles? Okay. It's a little weird, but that's okay. It's just the idea of drawing a dragonfly. I can, I'll attach that image later to you so that you can see what I was, or a honeybee. Honeybees would be cute. I do have in my book, I have a book of, you know, snails and honeybees and hedgehogs and stuff because there's a lot of cute things to add in there. Okay, so now we're gonna make him some blues and greens. Purples. Here's a nice purple. Here's a nice blue. You know, we can keep with that. We'll make them this color. I don't have to keep it. All right, so I'm gonna make his eyes. There it is. I'm gonna make his eyes burnt sienna, and I'm gonna make him pretty vivid. So I'm gonna press harder than I do with other things, and we'll see if it works. I don't know. I haven't done one very often. And I'll put blue down here, and I'll probably go back over that with my black pen because that body needs to be stronger and more noticeable. Okay, so we've got some blue. Now let's add some purple to the wings. These are good color tones together too. This maize and this kind of an orchid purple. They look really nice together. And over here we're gonna have purple. We'll add some blue in here. So it's catching the shimmer kind of a different way. I love that. And so we have these huge, and we also at camp had these huge dragonflies, but that just big like a bird. Amazing to see. We had this one that flew around our house, and we had to make it dark for him to find his way back out. But and And that happens at camp too. They come inside. Sometimes the bats come inside at camp. Poor little things. I'm throwing a little green in his body. And so, but also in Spain, we had these orangey, bright scarlet red, solid colored dragonflies. They were fascinating. And they would skim along the surface of the water, and they were just gorgeous. All right, let's see what happens. It's only paper. If we don't like it, it's no big thing. So, all right, let's play with our dragonfly. Got my brush. I'm gonna do my head first, and then some of my wings. I'm gonna hold it lightly over the wings. I want them to really be translucent. So I don't want to press very hard. And then I'm going to move on to my body, and I'm a little bit dotted because I want to leave flecks of light, which would be the cool shiny reflections of dragonflies. They are, man, God is fabulous the way he creates things to be. Okay, so now his little head is swimming in water. Oh, that took it all off, see? Let me see if I'm on. Yep. So now I'm gonna take more from the tip because it took more than I wanted off, but that's pretty good. And get my brush wet, and I'm just gonna go tip, 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 and I'm gonna leave white. I want that shimmer, hopefully, to stay of light that you get in the translucence of their wings. They are a fascinating creature. It's the tiny things, really. Somebody, maybe it was Jill, was saying that, you know, my photography looks so exotic. And I think it's because we don't normally see the tiny things. We see the big overall picture. And when we do see God's creation close up like that, it's just spectacular and makes us really look at things in a new way. So I've gotten a little heavy on that. I'm going to go dab, dab, dab. And, you know, I'm liking this. And then I'm going to add a little bit more of the strong purple over here to differentiate it. You can just keep playing with it till you do like it. Because it's only paper. You know, I tell people all the time I did like, I don't know, 12 or 15 sketches on just paper like this, and just that I bought paper. And then I bought a sketchbook because I didn't want to put things in my sketchbook that I hated. So it was fun. All right, so we're going to leave that one on there. I think, okay, so we'll leave this one like this. On this one, I'm going to quickly show you the spritzing. So I've got paper towels for this. When my students watched me doing this one time, they immediately started doing it, but they sit close to each other. So something to be mindful of is if you're sitting next to someone doing art, don't do this very close. So, okay, I'm gonna get a palette, and we're gonna make some really strong purple. See, this one's still wet, that's why it comes out so strong. And we're gonna make some really strong blue and some really strong, do we need yellow? I think I'll skip yellow. Normally, I would do yellow, and it gives a little bit of sunshine sparkle, but the flower is yellow, the dragonfly is yellow, so for the composition, I'm gonna leave out the yellow. The other thing about art is when you include a color in one area of a painting, be sure to include it in another area too, even if it's just to balance it out and you're just blending some. So you know, for example, I've got purple and blue in my dragonfly, so I'm going to make purple and blue sparkles. If I didn't, I would be making yellow and blue sparkles and maybe a little bit of green. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to kind of make a puddle of water. Drip, 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 drip. Okay, so it's gonna get mixing it on here, and it's actually standing water on this paper. And so it's pretty strong. We'll see how it turns out. So I'm getting my brush kind of soaked, and I'm gonna go tap, 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 and making sure, why is it not doing it? It's the angle. Okay, there, we're just getting some little sparkles of sunlight hitting. See, that one's a little big, so I'm gonna go and pick it back up. It's like it was never there. Just little sparkles of color. I'm trying to do these a little stronger than I normally would do, because when they're so faint, you can't really tell they're there. And it's okay if it hits your flower too, like a little insect hitting. Okay, so I've got some purple. Can you see that? Yeah, see how, can you see it now? Hopefully. Okay, so I've got some little sparkles in the air. I did them larger than usual. You can play with it if you want. If you don't like it, you can always pick them back up. So now my brush is pretty purpley. It's gonna take a little more cleaning than usual. There. All right, now I am gonna mix in my blues. I love purple and blue together. My mom, when I was in sixth grade, I wanted to do my room in lavender and sky blue, and she went to wallpaper store after wallpaper store with me because I had an idea in my head. Isn't that fun, Heather? I do love the sparkle technique. I learned it on YouTube. This lady made these, and she used them for like greeting cards and birthday cards. And when you're doing wildflowers is the perfect time to add this effect. It's a little, I don't know, it's a little sparkly. It gives a little something. It makes it stand out. It gives the sense of sky. Okay, let's see how much you can see this. I'll turn it away. Can you guys see those sparkles? I did them bigger than usual, and I did the purples and blues, but evidently. So anyway, store to store. I finally settled for some sky wallpaper that had pale rainbows and blue and clouds, and it did have lavender, sky blue. But I get an idea in my head, and I literally trek from store to store. My mom taught me to sew, and that helped me a lot because I'd get an idea in my head of what I wanted, decorative out of that. So, all right, I'm going to dab a couple of these honkers they're just a little on the hunky big side. But the rest, you know what, I'm kind of happy with it. I'm going to leave them. Okay, can you guys see it? Is the sparkling working for you? If you're having trouble, it's a little harder with the lady who was teaching it, was doing it with her paintbrush. So it's a little easier with a paintbrush than with this, but it's just flick, 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 and it can, it just spritzes it. It gives it a loveliness. I really like it. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna have to, you know what? I think we'll have to end our class here. The purple flower, because this is empty and I don't have another water bottle in this room. So normally I would refill it. I keep a water bottle with me, and it's easy over grass. Or we have a lovely fountain to fill it at. So we played with this as we went. you can add a dragonfly. Like if you're going to add a bumblebee or a honeybee, just do, bumblebee sketch watercolor, and then click on images and see what they show you. I will add to that thing of photos here. I'll add it right now. The dragonfly that I chose. I look at the angle and okay. So now where I did, here is the dragonfly we added. Okay, so I wrote in the comments and added the image of the dragonfly I was using just as my model, just to have an idea in my head and not go, oh, they have 6 wings or whatever. Any questions? Leave questions in the comments. So for the purple one, it is on my Facebook page, and I left it public. So it has the red one that we did, the yellow one we did, and the purple one. And so we can do the purple one another day if you want, or give it a try. I would encourage you. You've learned a lot of skills in this. I think you can do it. Just water to clean out the brush when finished. Yes, Glenda, I just squeeze out between, every time I change a color, I just drip, and then I dab on the Kleenex, and then I do another drip. And if it's dabbing out clear, then it's clean. And it never looks completely clean. You can see on my hand, I'll try to go to a whiter part of my hand. You can see it still, but it doesn't, that's okay. It's stained permanently, but it does not leave color on there. So it's fine to do that. And then to redo it, like I'll just go in and put more water in there, and then put this and screw it back on, and it's portable. They don't even notice on airplanes. It doesn't matter that there's water in there, because not that we'll get to go on an airplane anytime soon, but the world's a crazy place. So I would encourage you, if you did any of these today, message me or email me, or here, I'll turn this up so I can see you again. I'm at hi. So if you've done some of them today, it would be fun. Let me see your art. Be sure to sign your art. It is of value. Sign your art with your name, or like in Europe, they do like a stylized initial. My handwriting is terrible. My mom can attest to that. But I think it's because I slammed my hand in the van door one time, and it really damaged my fingers. But so like they do initials that are kind of stylized and pretty, like some swirls or whatever you want. So you can leave them in the comments of this live stream, or you can message them to me, or if you post them on your own timeline to share with your friends, which I encourage you to do, just tag me in it, because I would love to see your art. If you have done your art and you go, I'm not sure, I'm not really liking it, I liked this part but not that part, send me an image of it and I can give you ideas of what you could do to finish it off. Many times people in my art class can sometimes throw down their pen or throw down their water brush, and they're frustrated and they're like, I'm done. And I can't, they say, I can't do this. And I say, and I look at it and I go, actually, you can. This is very good. You're just not done yet. And then I give them some pointers about what to do or where to go with it from this. Like, okay, so like this one we did, this was my first one that I scanned. See how I went over with ink again on the edges, just not slow outlining. Okay, and see the difference between this one? That's a good test there. You can see the difference because this one, nope, I'm backwards. This one looks slightly unfinished, and it's because I have not gone over the edge again with my pen. And so it looks okay, but it looks a little bit washed out. So, like if I take today's, I'll move the camera again, hope you don't get dizzy. If I take today's and go over it again, it's dry. I can feel that it's dry. This again. So I'm just going to go over real quick. Even some texture. It doesn't have to be exact. And I'm just going to go over those outlines again, just to bring out the shape. And, you know, my hand is close enough that it looks right, similar on the line, but it also gives some good texture to it. To do it this way, it brings out because sometimes it gets a little bit obliterated with color. Then I'm gonna go over my leaf area. Doesn't have to be at all the same. I'm gonna go over a little bit of my line. I won't do the swirlies again because I like the lightness of them. So see how, okay, so this is the one that I just did the outlines on, and see how it brings it out? It looks more finished. So sometimes it's just things like that. Or if you go, oh, I'm not sure, I like it, I might say, you know, go back to this area and add a little more shading, add a little stronger color. When you hold the piece up, we can see it clearly. Okay, thank you, Bethel. I would encourage you, if you're looking at your finished product and you go, I'm just not sure, you might go over those outlines again. Oh, you know what I'm noticing right now? See the dragonfly wings? He looks a little washed out. Let's go over his body a little bit, because we added him and we did color. But these wings need a little more definition of which is the edge. I might like that. And I might do his body a little. And I'm not even worried about hitting the same lines twice on his little circle taily thingy bobber. Because it really doesn't matter. Okay, and here's an eye. I'm liking that better. Yeah, sometimes it just needs a little finish. So the texturing at the end can be a really helpful thing. So, okay, as you finish up your art, send it to me. As you think about what you would like to learn to sketch, what things are of interest to you. Is this working? Oh, look, there's my kids. They're so cute. As you think about what you'd like to learn to draw, if you want to learn to draw, you can Google and give it a try on your own, and I'd love to see that work you do. But if you would like to have another class, you can let me know in the comments later, or whoever's watching this later, and let me know, I want to learn to draw a window with a windowsill and some flower pots and shutters, or I want to learn to draw a bicycle, or I want to learn, don't ask for people. I make them look like mutants. I'm good at drawing a lot of things, but not so much people. I draw like stylized people, like this little one, you know, with these little kids, but faces are pretty tough. I have some art students who are amazing at faces. Animals are tough too. If it's realistic style, I can do stylized animals. What else? What are some options? We do barns and cottages and bikes and mountain scenes and a watering can of flowers, or a mason jar of flowers, or bookmarks are fun. We make a lot of bookmarks. And it's nice because it's the same thing. You just take the paper and cut it. But, you know, or we could do a bird. there's all different types of things to do. A lot of times it's fun to find a verse and either put the verse reference down in the corner, or like if I was adding a verse, say about the grass withers and the flowers fade, the word of God stands forever, I could either write it tiny along here, or I could write it in the corner, or I could just do the scripture reference. But there's all kinds of things you can do that with that. So anyway, let me know your feedback as we go along. I hope you guys have a great day. And Monday, today's Friday, Monday, we end our lockdown. We have to still be careful, social distancing, yada, yada, all that. And our town has really gotten used to it. It's day 54, I think, of lockdown. But I'm going to get in my car and drive. I can drive up to 60 miles or 100 kilometers. I don't want to go so far that I have to find a bathroom because there's not restaurants open or anything. But we have a beautiful national park by us, so I'm really looking forward to that and just seeing things from a new angle. It's so pretty wherever we are. Oh, thank you, Bethel. Happy Mother's Day to you. And Mom, I love you so much. You're the best. I could not ask for a better mom than you. I miss you, and I love you. Happy Mother's Day. Bye-bye.